My name is Stephanie and I'll be guiding you through this 60-minute prenatal sequence. This sequence is to bring power to the body, strength to the body as you carry baby, and then we will go through a couple exercises and poses that will help with low back pain, which you may be feeling while you're going through the postures. And I'm just going to go ahead and set my watch up as well. And so most of what we're doing today, we won't be using anything more than a block or two during our postures. But with that being said, we will need a blanket and a bolster for the end of our class as well. But for all intents and purposes, I would have them nearby. So with the blanket, make sure the blanket isn't super fluffy. I don't want anything that can't be used for stability. We're going to start off with the blanket just to be mindful in the beginning. We're going to use these if you want them. And then we're going to have our bolster ready to go. Nice and sturdy bolster. It's nice and it's not easy to bend. So you want something that's stuffed with pretty compact material, nothing fluffy that wouldn't be able to hold your weight if need be. And so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to move my blanket. So I folded my blanket in fours and it is a small rectangle. And for the reason of doing this is really to have this lip right here so you have a good amount so you can sit on it and be weighted up just a little bit. You want to be sitting up over your mat, but you are going to be sitting at the edge of your blanket. And as you can see, I'm wearing slippers. You do not need to wear them. They're non-stick. I used to use them in my hot yoga practice when I used to teach in order for me to not slip while I was moving around the room. But in this case, I'm using it for warmth, and it has good grip as well. So while you're sitting, I want you to go ahead and just sit at the edge of your blanket so your pelvis is tilted forward. And go ahead and sit. You can sit in a bound angle pose or easy pose. Easy pose, you can do either or. You can sit crisscross if you'd like. In my case, I'm going to choose to sit with one leg on top of the other, like I am doing right now. And you can choose whichever works for you, what feels best for you. And we're going to go ahead and sit up tall. So I want you to just be mindful of your spine here, but also obviously you cannot have your foot this close if you're further along in your pregnancy. So obviously move your feet accordingly of whatever feels good. Like I said, you can go into a bound angle pose with your feet or a butterfly posture with your feet if that's what you'd like to do. But do what feels good for you today. As long as you're sitting up tall, from the waist up, your spine is straight. Hands are by your side. Just for a minute, I want to sit here and talk to you about the benefits of movement while you're pregnant. So when we're pregnant, we have a release of hormones. And when we have that release, there's one called elastin that we release into our bodies. And that actually makes us have our joints are a little bit easier to maneuver. So obviously, when baby comes through the birth canal, we do have joints in our hips, in our pelvic bones that allow for baby to come through the birth canal. And so we have to release that hormone in order for there to be a little bit more flexibility of our bones and our joints. But of course, that hormone is not just for that area of the body. If you release the hormone, it goes throughout the whole body. So you may realize that you are able to move certain joints that were previously stiff, but you have to make sure that you move them properly. So movement while you're pregnant and moving safely while you're pregnant is such an important benefit in order for you to have a strong, healthy pregnancy and a healthy body during the whole experience. So go ahead and I want you to put one hand on your belly and one hand over your heart and go ahead and close your eyes. And while we're sitting here, I want you to really just take note as to how you're feeling today, maybe paying attention to what you're thinking about. We're going to have thoughts coming in and out of our minds throughout this 60-minute practice. But what I want you to do is acknowledge the thoughts that are going through your head, But the minute they hit you, I want you to let them go. Because while you're on your mat today, there's really nothing you can do about whatever is going through your mind. You can acknowledge it, accept it, and then push it aside for later. Because while you're on this mat, I want this to be about you. I want this to be about your baby. So while you sit here and you have your hand over your belly, I want you to think about all the hard work that your body's already doing. Without you even thinking about it, your body is working. You're burning energy without you even realizing. So I want you to remember to give your body the nutrition it needs, give it the hydration it needs, and give it the love that it needs. So just like my shirt says, strong is beautiful, our intention for today is strength. And finding beauty in our strength, and finding beauty in our movements, and finding beauty in the strength that we possess in order to build this healthy, beautiful baby. So go ahead and take deep breaths in and out through the nose. And never hold the breath at the top. You don't want to hold your breath because you are holding back fresh oxygen from going to baby through the placenta. So every time we take a deep breath in, if you've done a yoga class before where they had you hold your breath in a pranayama breathing exercise, you cannot do that while you are pregnant. So you're going to inhale and exhale evenly. But taking those deep inhales and exhales allows the muscles in your lungs to be working a little extra. Being more mindful of how much your lungs can hold, the capacity of your lungs is so important. So when you inhale, I really want you to think about all that fresh oxygen going into your lungs and eventually going to your baby. When you exhale, you're letting go of everything that your body doesn't need. All the toxins, all the negativity, anything that you're breathing in that doesn't serve you is coming out. So I really want you to focus on that as you take your breaths. And remembering our intention of strength, of beauty, and every time that we move our body in yoga, especially as we move when we're pregnant, we're trying to make space for baby. That is really a big thing to realize, because we have a tendency to crouch over ourselves. If we're sitting for a very long time, we have a tendency to bring our shoulders forward, and we're hindering our body from taking a big deep breath. If you take a big deep breath when you're sitting up tall and you let it go, you can feel your lungs expanding all the way to the tips, all the way to the bottom of them. But if you were to be crouched over and taking a deep breath, I promise you it will not be the same volume of air that you would be taking if you were sitting up tall. So really prepare yourself, giving yourself the optimal space in order for you to provide not only for yourself, but for your growing baby. With each breath in, bringing in love, happiness. And with each breath out, really shedding the layers of stress that you might be carrying on your shoulders. Maybe you're a little anxious about your impending delivery, about the unknowns that come along with labor and delivery and parenthood. Whatever it is, I just want you to know that you are supported and you are guided through all those experiences. As lonely as it may feel, I promise you there is a village out there waiting to support you. I always tell the patients that I work with that baby doesn't come out walking and talking. They do come out crying, and that is kind of the theme of the first year, it feels like, because that's the only way they know how to communicate with you. But little by little, you'll start to learn about this human being on the outside. Because right now, you probably know some tendencies that your baby's already experiencing as you're getting further along in your pregnancy. Maybe baby's more active at a certain time of night. Maybe your baby sleeps when you walk around a lot. Just certain mannerisms that you present, you may notice your baby has their own. But once they're on the outside, you get to learn about this new human being that you're going to get to teach and love and learn from as well. And it all comes, like they say, baby steps. And it's a learning process for everyone. It's not just a learning process for baby. It's a learning process for everyone involved. Let's take a unified breath here in Out through the mouth. One more time. Out. Wonderful. Go ahead and blink the eyes open. Great job. Now we're going to start to get up off of our blanket if you chose to sit on one. I'm going to just check the recording and make sure we're still going strong here. And we are. So let's go ahead and move our blanket to the side. We're going to go ahead and meet in a tabletop. And from here, what we're going to do is we're going to move, we're going to do some hip circles. This is just to get the body moving. Oh, it stretches out the muscles on the external portion of our thighs and our hips. And it also brings movement to our glutes, and it takes a little bit of the pressure off the back. So if you're at a point in your pregnancy where you already know baby might be giving you a little bit of what they call back labor, or maybe baby's just laying their head over onto your spine, that can cause discomfort, lower back pain. And if you have a breech baby, you might feel it up higher. But in being in a tabletop, it really does bring that comfort to the lower back. Now, obviously, you do not want to compromise your spine by sitting in a tabletop with your belly hanging low and just staying like that. You have to keep your spine neutral. So just like we would say to keep your core strong, you have to still consider your core when you're pregnant, which is hard to visualize because your center of gravity is shifted significantly with a uterus and a baby, taking up most of the abdominal space that you've got going on. But being mindful that you're not dropping the lower back as you're trying to be in a resting position in a tabletop. Resting position in tabletop, you still have to engage the arms. You're then engaging the shoulders, and you're engaging the back and the lower back. And so when you're in this position, it's great for breech babies. If you're trying to get baby to flip naturally, to be head down, being in this position, it takes that weight off the back, but it also gives room for baby as well. Because obviously baby's kind of hanging freestyle over here, so it might give extra space for baby to start turning. And when you're in this position, what I want you to do first is I just want you to tilt forward and back slightly. And here you're just getting the blood flowing, getting the muscles moving, especially because we're starting this practice, and we want to make sure that our body is conditioned to move. Don't forget to breathe through all your movements. You're not holding your breath in any which way in any of these movements. Inhale back to a tabletop, and then we're going to go ahead and do some hip circles. So this is really great to relieve any back pain that you might be feeling. And obviously, if you have your belly is more in the third trimester or late in the second, you may not have the ability to go back as far as I do, and that's okay. Move according to what your body can do. So even slight hip circles, if they're like this, that is okay. You're receiving the benefits of this posture, and this really does help in trying to flip baby if they are breech. Babies flip around 28 weeks. So flip meaning that they might be sitting with their legs towards your pelvis and their head is in your ribs. And then they have to actually turn to a head down position, which is also called vertex. So the head would be then engaged in the pelvic floor. And let's go ahead and switch sides. In my case, I'm now going counterclockwise. Meeting me back at center. So making sure that you still have your hands directly under your shoulders and your hips are over your knees. If you are having any carpal tunnel, which happens a lot during pregnancy because of the change in the amount of fluid retention that we have while we're pregnant, Then you can have your hands in a fist, or you could have your hands tented. You could take your hands onto blocks if you need it. Excuse me. So you could have your hands like so, if that feels better. That way you're taking the pressure off of your wrists, but it's up to you what feels good for you today. You could have your hands in fists as well. I don't find that this posture is as comfortable for long periods of time. So that's why I say you could tent your hands or your fingers, and it still takes the pressure off the wrist. And so moving on, I'm going to have my hands down flat, my palms flat. We're going to go into a few cat-cows. So go ahead and inhale, drop the belly, pelvis comes up, tilting the pelvis up towards the ceiling, your gaze is up, your chin is up. Exhale, curl the spine, tucking the pelvis and your chin to your chest. Inhale, look up, dropping the belly once again. Inhale, looking up, chin is up. Exhale, rounding the spine, chin to the chest. Your gaze comes towards your belly. Inhale once again, look up, chin up. Exhale, round the spine, curling this pelvis. Inhale, look up, gaze is up, belly's down. Exhale, rounding out the spine. One more time. Let's do that one more time. It feels so good on that lower back. Inhale, look up. Exhale, rounding up the spine and the shoulders. Inhale, back to tabletop. So we will then go into a downward facing dog. So from here, go ahead and bring your hands forward slightly. Curl the back toes. And then meet me in a downward facing dog. Your heels may or may not touch. That is the goal, is to bring the heels closer to the mat. But it's okay if your heels aren't quite touching, like so. That's okay. That's the whole purpose of a yoga practice. It's not yoga perfect. You're not supposed to get it right the first time. And guess what? You're always moving and you're always changing. It is definitely a practice that I've noticed changes in myself from one day to the next. And some days I am not as flexible as others. So that's okay. We have to be graceful and just give our body grace when we do these movements. You're going to push yourself away from the mat with your hands, but then you're bringing your thighs and your glutes up and back. So you're feeling that space that you're giving your body. Now from here, I want you to go ahead and bend each knee one at a time. Just getting that blood flowing, that movement. And then from here, we're going to do downward facing dog into a high plank. And we're just doing that. We're not going further than that. And the reason we're doing this is really to just bring some strength to the arm muscles and then get that blood flowing. So inhale, come into a high plank. Shoulders are directly over the wrist. Exhale, come into a downward facing dog. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Once again, inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now, if you are doing this and you feel like you need to be on your knees for the high plank, feel free to get on your knees and then curl the toes back into a down dog. And then come back on your knees, high plank. And then back into a downward facing dog. You can modify your movements in order to best equip your body to go through the movements, even if you can't go through the entire movement like you usually would. If you're working up to getting off your knees, then start on your knees and then move accordingly. And you can test it out. You can try one with your knees off the mat. But if it doesn't feel comfortable to you or you feel unstable at any point, then you go back to getting on your knees. So from here, let's do one more. back into a down dog. Inhale, come into a high plank, and then exhale, downward facing dog. Now from here, I want you to go ahead and keep your left leg back. You're gonna bring that right foot forward, and that back foot is going to come into about a 45-degree angle. And then I want you to use your hands, bring one hand and then the next up onto your thigh, and then bring your arms forward for warrior one. And in warrior one, keep your hips forward so you're in line with the front of your mat and you're looking forward. Your arms are up high. You can spread your fingertips wide and your gaze is forward. And then go ahead and look up. Keeping your eyes open, and don't forget to breathe during all of your postures. And then bring your hands down, slowly begin to come down, and then bring that right foot back to meet the left. Meeting that down dog, inhale into a high plank, exhale, come into the down dog. And then on the next inhale, bring that left foot forward, back heel at a 45-degree angle. Again, moving slowly, bringing your hands to your upper thigh, and then moving yourself into that warrior one once again. Remember, continue breathing, your hips are forward, your gaze is forward, and your arms are up high towards the sky, keeping that right knee over that left knee over the left ankle. Looking forward, and now looking up, keep those fingertips spread wide. Remembering to breathe, keep your eyes open. And on the next exhale, bring your hands down and bring that left foot to meet the right. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale into a downward facing dog. On the next inhale, bringing that right foot forward once again. This time your back foot plants parallel to the back of your mat. I am going to now take these booties off because I don't need them anymore for right this second. And you're going to inhale, bring your hands to the top of your right thigh. And then you're going to open your arms out into a warrior two. So in warrior two, your right knee is bent. The right knee is over the right ankle, and your right knee is going towards your right pinky toe. So don't let your knee come in. You want to keep the strength in that knee. You don't want to compromise the strength of the knee. So keeping that knee going towards the right pinky toe, you're looking over your right middle finger. Your shoulders are directly over your hips, so you're not leaning forward or back, and your arms are extended out and you're looking over. Staying strong, making space. So you're making sure your chest is out and open. So make sure that you're bringing space to baby, and you're feeling those legs of yours. You're feeling the inner portion of your thighs coming up and back. Looking out over your fingers, hold it there. Inhale, and on the exhale, go ahead and windmill your hands. Bring your hands back down to the mat slowly, and bring your right foot to meet the left into that downward facing dog. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale, back into a down dog. And then on the next inhale, bringing that left foot forward. Back right foot is parallel to the mat, bringing yourself upright. And then opening up the arms into a warrior two. Remember keeping that right knee, or that left knee over the left ankle. You're looking over that right middle finger, and your left middle finger, and your left knee is going towards your left pinky toe. Your back leg is nice and engaged. It's strong, just like you are. Coming back to our intention, we are strong in this posture. Shoulders are over the hips, looking over. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, making sure your chest is open. On the exhale, windmill your hands down and bring that left foot to meet the right into a downward facing dog. Inhale, coming into high plank. Exhale into the down dog. Inhale, I want you to bring that right foot forward again. This time we're going into a warrior one once again. We're going to go through and do a little bit of what we've already done. So we're meeting in a warrior one. On the exhale, opening up into a warrior two. And then we're going to go ahead and reverse our warrior. And you do not have to go far as we're reversing our warrior. We're going to keep the knee bent in the front. And we're going to bring that right hand back. And bring it as far back as you can. I don't want you to push it or feel lightheaded in any way. Keep your eyes open, keeping the bend in that front knee. And then go ahead and straighten that front knee. Just for a minute, we're just going to stay here. And then inhale back into a warrior two. Really feeling the strength. We're rooted down in our feet. We're feeling all 4 points of our feet into the mat. And on the exhale, go ahead and windmill your hands and bring that right foot back to meet the left into that down dog. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale back into a down dog. Next inhale, bring that left foot forward. That back heel is at a 45-degree angle, slowly coming up into warrior one. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Inhale, reverse our warrior. Right hand comes down the right leg. We can either point our hand up high to the sky, keeping that knee bent in the left leg, or you can bring that left hand back a little bit further if it's in your practice today. And then go ahead and straighten that left knee for right now. Quickly just stay in this posture, and then inhale back into warrior two. Feeling that strength rooted into your feet all the way up through your body. And then go ahead and windmill your hands and take that left foot to meet your right. Meet me in that warrior, in that down dog. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale into a down dog. Excuse me. And then we're going to do that again, just because we're keeping our body warm. Remember, this is a routine, a sequence of strength. So inhale, bring that right foot forward into a warrior one. Be slow with your movements. You don't want to rush through them. There's no rush in it. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Looking over that right middle finger. Inhale, bring that right arm up over your head into a reverse warrior. Exhale, come back into a warrior two. I should have warned you, grab your block. You're going to grab your block. Bring your block to the outside of your right foot. Keep that knee bent in the right leg. Bring that right hand down to the block. You're doing a side angle pose here. So inside angle, this is a great way to open up the chest, giving that space to baby. If you'd like to challenge yourself, or if it's in your practice already, you can inhale, and on the exhale, you can flip the palm and take a wrap. You can even have your hand on your glutes or on your thigh. Anything, if it feels like it's opening up the chest muscle, it feels really good. Keeping that bend in the front leg. Inhale that left arm high if you had it behind your back. Bringing that left hand down. We're going to go ahead and move our block. And bring that right foot back into a downward facing dog. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale back into a down dog. Inhale, bring that left foot forward. Again, we're going through the motions again. We're going to meet in a warrior one. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to a warrior two. Keep that bend in the front knee. Inhale, that left arm up high for a reverse warrior. Inhale back to warrior two. And then go ahead and bring that block on the outside of the left foot. Doing a side angle pose on the left, bringing that left hand onto the mat, onto the block. If you need that block a little bit higher, feel free to do so. And then make sure you have this space. You're giving space to your baby and opening up that chest so it allows you to take a deep, full breath. And again, you can flip the palm and take a wrap if you would like to feel a little extra stretch in the shoulders. Inhale that left arm high. Left hand comes back down to the mat. You can move that block over. And then meet me in a down dog. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale, down dog. Again, we're going to go through the motions, but we're going to add to it. Inhale, bring that right foot forward. Meet me in a warrior one at your own pace. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Once again, grabbing your block, bringing it to that side angle pose. Keeping that bend in that front knee. Left arm goes high. You can flip the palm and take a wrap here if you'd like. Inhale that left arm high. Now you're going to straighten out that front knee. Keep the block where it is. Like I said, if you need it to be at a higher level, feel free to do that. You can keep a slight bend in that knee if you need to, and then lift that right arm or that left arm high, looking up, opening up the chest here. And you can even bring that left arm up and over your head to reach towards that front wall. Here we go. Coming back, bringing your hands back to the mat. You can move the block over to the left side because you're going to be using it on the left. And then bringing that right leg to meet the left. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale into a downward facing dog. Inhale that left foot forward. Preparing for that warrior one. Inhale, rising up. Arms are going up towards the sky. Take a breath here. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Keep that bend in the front knee. Exhale, come back into a warrior two. And then inhale, you're going to bring that block on the outside of your foot. Again, you can put it on a lower end or a higher end of your block. And then keep that bend in the front knee. That right arm is reaching up high to the sky. Flip the palm and take a wrap if that's in your practice. Keeping that gaze up and opening up the chest here. Inhale that right arm high. Go ahead and straighten that left leg, triangle. And you can reach that right arm up over your head towards that front wall. Both hands come back down to the mat. Moving the block out of the way, but close enough that you can grab it again. Bring that left leg back to the right. Inhale into a high plank. Exhale into downward facing dog. We're going to add to this. Inhale. Oh, excuse me. That right leg forward. You can bring that block to be close by so you can grab it. Once again, I'm going to leave it right here where I'm going to use it. And you can use that block to then push up into a warrior one. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Inhale, reverse your warrior. Inhale back into warrior two. We're going to go into that side angle pose. Go ahead and flip the palm, take a wrap if it's in your practice. And then go ahead and straighten out that front leg, reaching that left arm up high to the sky. And then like I said before, you can go ahead and reach that arm out in front of you. And then now we're going to go into half moon, keeping the block where it is. Slowly but surely, go ahead and start moving. I'm going to move my block to a higher stand. And then you're going to go ahead and lift that back leg if you can. Slowly looking at something that doesn't move, and then go ahead and look up. That is the final part of this posture. Inhale, bring that back leg back, down to the mat. Bring your hands to the mat, and bring that right leg back, meeting me in a down dog. Take a breath here. Exhale. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale to the mouth. On the next inhale, bring that left leg forward. We're going into that warrior one once again. Inhale, and on the exhale, glide open to warrior two. Flip the palm, reverse your warrior. Inhale, back into a warrior two. Inhale, and on the exhale, coming down into that side angle. You can flip the palm and take a wrap once again. Making room for baby. Inhale that left arm high. Go ahead and straighten that leg, the left leg, and then reach that right arm up towards that front wall. And then preparing for warrior three, go ahead and I'm gonna actually lift my block a little higher. Again, I prefer it if I'm using a block. And then opening up to the right side of the room. Keeping that raised foot flexed, and then try to look up. That's the most challenging part. And then inhale back, bringing that foot back to the mat, hands back to the mat, and bringing that left foot to meet the right into a down dog. Again, inhale through the nose. Exhale. Inhale again. Exhale. And then inhale into high plank. Exhale, back into down dog. Then go ahead and come onto our knees. Wonderful. Just consulting my notes here. And give me 1 second. We're going to go ahead and start to wind it down, but also go into a few postures that were on our mat before finishing up class. So now, most of the postures we went through, especially in the beginning, we talked about low back pain. When we were doing the more power sequence that we were just doing, that opens up the chest and gives room for baby. And it's really just making our bodies stronger for labor and delivery. And now we're gonna focus again on low back pain. Low back pain is something that every mom I've worked with has had at some point in her pregnancy. Sometimes throughout her pregnancy, it's just gotten worse. So especially if you're carrying twins or you're carrying a pretty big baby, the spine likes to curve in pregnancy, just like we waddle and we don't even try, it just happens naturally. So in order to keep the integrity of the spine, we do have to make sure that we strengthen the muscles around the spine and we give the spine some breaks here and there in order for it to give us the relief we're looking for. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and go into a supported pigeon. With the pigeon, you are going to use a bolster or a block, or in this case, I'm going to show you how to use it with a blanket because my bolster is really big, and some bolsters are made differently. If you're used to yoga studios, they have sometimes like different sized bolsters. But in my case, I have a really big bolster and then I have a block, and I would like something more comfortable, especially when you're in the end of your pregnancy. You want something a little more comforting around your pelvic bones. So I'm going to bring my rolled up blanket into the center of my mat. And then go ahead and bring your right foot is the one we're going to start with. And you're going to position your bolster or your blanket under your pelvis. So right where there would be space, that's where you're putting that support. And you might want to use an extra pillow or bolster if you have it in order to, because you may not have the room, you may need to use it here in the front, and I'll show you in just a minute. But with our feet, most people, their feet are in for pigeon, and that's okay. But little by little, the goal is to bring the foot so that the shin is parallel to the front of the mat. So in my case, I'm able to do that, so I'm going to demonstrate it that way, just so I can get all the benefits of this posture for me, because it won't feel like anything if I don't do it this way. Depending on baby, how big your belly is in front of you, you may need to use a bolster in front of you. If that's too much, but going flat towards the mat is too close, you need more room, but not this much room yet, you can bring your blocks in front of you. You can bring them together. And you can rest your hands. So you're a little closer to the mat, but not quite on the mat. Or you can obviously, if you are still early on in your pregnancy and you have the room, you can go ahead and come all the way down. And you can rest 2 fists on top of each other so you're comfortably laying closer to the mat, or you can set both your hands one on top of the other. Obviously, you can do a sleeping pigeon where you're all the way down, but most likely that won't feel comfortable. No matter what stage you are in your pregnancy, your uterus is obviously getting bigger by the day, and so that may not feel comfortable. So I'll demonstrate with the bolster, with a big bolster in front, just because that will most likely be the most comfortable for you and the most spacious for you. And you're just going to go ahead and rest your head in front of you. And we're going to stay here for just a few minutes. I just want to make sure that we're giving our bodies the attention they need in order to get the proper stretches out. Remembering to breathe through your postures, in and out through the nose. You can take big long inhales and big long exhales. That'll prep you for when you're preparing for birth. You'll feel this stretch on the outer portion of your thighs, but it does give relief to the lower back when you have these supported postures like this, because you're not having to sit up tall and putting all that weight on your lower back and on your pelvic bones and your muscles. And you're going to inhale back up You move the bolster if it's in front of you out of the way, and then go ahead and curl your back toes and then meet me in that downward facing dog. Just feeling that stretch, and then go ahead and walk your dog out a little bit here. Feels good on the leg, especially the right leg that was just forward. And then go ahead and bring that left leg forward now, and make sure that your bolster or your blanket or whatever you have rolled under you, even if it's a block, that it's in the right position from the movement. And then again, you can do any variation of this posture that feels comfortable for you. I'm going to use the bolster. It feels good, and I feel the stretch as well. Trying to get comfortable can sometimes be the toughest part. Keeping that spine straight. You don't want to be curving the spine and causing more tension in that lower back, because the goal of this is to really help you through lower back pain, not making it worse. Inhale, come back up. Go ahead and move the bolster out of the way. Go ahead and curl the back toes and get into that downward facing dog. Whatever feels more comfortable to you, and then go ahead and walk your dog out. You may notice that one side feels a little bit more stiff than the other. That's pretty common. We have a dominant side, so we have a tendency to sometimes have differences in our movements and our joints. And then our next posture, you can use your blanket. I'll show you. You can put a blanket under your knee, just because one leg will be on the mat. You're going to bring one foot forward, and then you can use your block for extra height. And then you're going to go ahead and grab that back leg. This helps with lower back pain. I'm a little stiff on the left, so I'm having a little more trouble on it, as you can see. Inhale and exhale. I'm going to do a few breaths here. The goal is to get about 10 breaths on this side. And making sure you're opening up on this side, but this is taking the pressure off your lower back. And then try to make sure that you're lifting your chest up, making room for baby, and also you're feeling that stretch on the front of your thighs. release that back foot. Bring your hands to the mat. You may want to switch your block out if you're using it, and if you have a blanket, go ahead and move it over so that your other leg can rest on it. So in my case, it's the right knee will be on that blanket, and I'm bringing my block next to me for extra height. And then, as you can see, I'm making room for my abdomen. So if you have your belly coming out, you're not squishing it forward. Opening up the chest, opening up the shoulder here. Ten breaths being the goal. Bring your hands back down to the mat. Bring that back leg back to meet the right. Being in that downward facing dog. This is a restful posture. And so when we come into down dog, it actually takes the pressure off of our lower back. So it's a great posture to go into in between any posture that you do in yoga. And then go ahead and come back down onto your knees. One more posture before we go into our final posture of the sequence. So in order to open up the chest, so we're gonna do a side plank. It's obviously a variation. So you're gonna keep your bottom leg on the mat. In my case, it'll be my right leg in this first instance. Bring your right hand down to the mat so your shoulder is in line with your palm, and you're gonna extend your leg out, and you're gonna reach your arm up high. You can even open up a little bit more. But your gaze is up and your hand is going up towards the ceiling. Hand down, and then you're going to switch sides. So now we're going to bring the left hand down, left leg stays down. Again, you're lining up your shoulder and your wrist, extending that right arm out, gaze is up, your palm is reaching towards, or your right hand is reaching towards the sky, opening yourself up here, taking that pressure off your lower back. You're engaging your glutes and your leg muscles. Bringing that right hand back down. And then before we go into our Shavasana, actually I would like to show you a supported child's pose. So let me move my blanket, bringing the bolster here. A supported child's pose, you just put the bolster out in front of you instead of laying flat. You give room for baby here. And you're just gonna sit in this posture. It opens up the hips here. Your toes are touching in the back and your knees are spread out wide. But unlike other child's poses where we're going straight onto the mat, our forehead's kissing the mat and our arms are extended out in front of us, this way we're keeping space, making space for baby to fit as we get the benefits of this posture. This is a resting posture. It's a grounding posture, and it's one that lowers the heart rate, takes away the stress from the body. So if at any point you're doing yoga throughout your pregnancy, if there's any point you ever feel overwhelmed by the exercises or you just feel like you need to take a break, coming into a child's pose is a great way to do that. And you're taking the pressure off your lower back as well. So we are all about finding strength in our movements, especially with today's intention. But what I want you to really understand is that you need to understand when to go the extra mile and when to take a step back. And that's actually a great lesson to learn with regards to parenting in general or life in general. The next inhale, coming up, sitting up. So now we're going to get ready for our Shavasana. So go ahead and grab both your blocks. And you're going to put one at the highest, and then one at the lowest. And then you're going to bring your bolster over and rest your bolster on the blocks. You can see that it's really sturdy. This is a supported Shavasana. So we cannot lay flat on our backs when we're pregnant, especially after the first trimester, due to the fact that your uterus is obviously getting bigger. Baby's getting bigger. So with that being said, when you lay flat on your back, not only do you, it may not feel comfortable if you're suffering of acid reflux, it may not feel so good, but also baby then will be laying all its weight onto your major vessels, and so that will impede blood flow to the heart and therefore impede blood flow to the placenta eventually. So go ahead and bring your feet into a butterfly posture or a bound angle posture with your feet, and you can bring your blanket around. I need to make mine longer, so I'm going to open my blanket up and fold it longer. And then I'm going to bring the blanket around so it's bringing a little bit more support under my knees. And then I'm going to rest my back onto my bolster. And bring your hands by your side. Go ahead and blink your eyes open. Extend your legs out in front of you. Move the blanket out of the way. And then go ahead and turn to your left or your right, whatever feels good to you. And use that top arm to push yourself up. And then go ahead and meet me in easy pose, whatever feels good for you. Sitting up high, sitting up straight. Inhale your arms up over your head. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Remembering how strong we are, not only when we practice our yoga, but throughout our day. With every movement we do, there is strength and there is power. So remembering your strength within, knowing that you are strong in the mind and the body. When I am in this place and you are in this place, we are one and I am forever grateful. Thank you so much for meeting me on your mat today. Namaste.